Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Energetics Podcast. I am your host, Kara Bunde-Dunn. Today, we have my dear friend, Julie Chandler, on the podcast. Julie is a psychic business coach and expert in all things energy. She's also my go-to phone call whenever I'm going through anything spiritually or I have burning questions about my business. Julie is the one that I dial. I love getting her hot take on energy, frequency, vibrations, and even just talking nonstop about messages from our guides and loved ones in spirit. So today we're going to dive a little bit deeper about the topic of energy and the energy of your business. So Julie, welcome back to the
Thank
Energetics
you.
podcast for round two.
I know, right? I was number one guest, I believe. It was like way back when. Look how far it's all going. This is amazing. Thank you so
I
much.
I know. I actually feel like you have to come on every season because you and I talk like almost every day. So I feel like it's like
Right.
you're like an honorary co-host is how I feel. And you can
I'm here
come
for it.
anytime you want. Yep, you're always here. And in fact, our WhatsApp feed that we text back and forth is I can't tell you how many things are in there back and forth about messages from our guides and loved ones in spirit and signs and the amount of hawks and feathers and butterflies and you name it that fills our feed back and forth.
It's the best
And
though.
also voice notes.
Yes. Yeah. Long,
Yeah.
rambling voice notes all about like this just happened, then Spirit did this. So yeah.
And I'm so excited about this. And oh, and bejesus, I'm going through this. A little bit of both. We help each other.
Yes.
And sometimes I play them for my daughter because she's obsessed with your accent and she loves hearing
Oh,
your voice. I'm like, oh
yeah.
yeah, my buddy Julie, little voice note from my buddy Julie.
I
Okay,
love
so
her. You
let's
have to be
dig in,
careful with the
Julie.
cussing though. Yes.
Oh, that's fine. She's fine. Have you met my husband? My daughter has learned by the age of 4 what words she's allowed to say at school and not allowed to say at school. So you can cuss away. You do. Get down with your bad self, Julie. Okay, so I want to dive in. We talk about signs all the time, so I thought that'd be a good place to start. And you often talk about the different types of signs that we get. So will you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. I think that there are misconceptions around signs quite often. A lot of my clients will often tell me, like, "Oh, I don't know if that sign's for me, or what is a sign? Like, how would I know that it's actually a sign?" Because I think stereotypically, we would look at a sign literally as a physical form that comes to us. And especially those who are, super in tune, it's like your feathers, your animals, like little bugs running around, whatever it is, ladybug here, a little spider there. I mean, I know that we've been having spider conversations recently, and they're good signs, by the way, people who are listening, of like, oh, no, not spiders. It's like they are a good sign. So for me, signs are way more than just what is like in that tangible. And there are actually kind of like, for me, there's 3 levels to signs, and signs essentially how your spirit team can actually deliver signs. Because some people are like, well, I asked for, I don't know, like a limousine to be seen in my day-to-day life. And it's like, well, that's probably a category 3. Like, go in gentle, ask for an 1111, ask for something that's really simple and really easy for your spirit team to manipulate. So things like numbers and seeing things like that is much easier for them to manipulate because of the energy of the universe and the way that they can actually manipulate. I mean, the whole world is math, right? Like, so it's like energy is math in itself. So of course they can manipulate that way easier. So that's going to come in at your level 1, but it will build to something that is really ridiculous of, people just being like, yeah, I want to see a car that has a pink stripe on it and a hubcap missing. It's like, sure, you can ask for that, but it might take a little longer to come. So if you're really looking for an answer, utilize those levels and really kind of like work with your guides. The other thing that I really think is important to highlight is that sometimes signs don't come in the way that you think. So again, you
Yeah.
go, I want to see an owl, and you don't see an owl in real life, but you might see it on the cover of a book, or perhaps like, there's a great example. One of my clients said yesterday that she really needed to work with her throat chakra. And then later that night, her son came in the room with a crystal, the one crystal that I can never say the name of, but it's blue with white speckles and it begins with an um, I could never say, it's like lapis something or other. But apparently he's like 8, and he came in the room and he was like, "Mom, is this a lapis, whatever, whatever?" And she was like, yeah. And he was just like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that in Minecraft or what." I'm not up with the kids' games, but I've seen it in Minecraft or something,
Sure,
so he
let's go
knew what it was
Minecraft,
to do with. Yeah,
Roblox, something.
but like that's a sign. Like if you think you need to work with
Yes,
something and then your son
yes,
brings something in the room, that's still a sign. But people are expecting it to be very different. They're
100%.
like, "Oh no, I just need it to be a feather in front of my face." It's like sometimes they come in different ways. Look everywhere for them. That's the magic. That is really the magic.
Yeah. I had Rebecca Rosen, who's on my podcast, is also a medium, said you're going to get a sign of confirmation that you're supposed to start your own company. So this is a couple years ago, and it'll come in the form of a grasshopper. So it was like 2 weeks, and I was like, nothing, 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 nothing. And I'm like, what the hell? Did I miss it? I don't know what's going on. And I literally was like, okay, team, if I am supposed to start this company, where is my effing grasshopper? And I might have got a little sassafras with my guides.
Yeah.
And literally, I go into my room like 10 seconds later, and I go to put something on my dresser in my bedroom. And my daughter had gone in there with all of these plastic bugs and put them everywhere to like tease me, like ladybugs and whatever in my bed. And she put a grasshopper on my pillow.
I
And
love
I was like,
that.
okay. I was like, there's
That's
my
so fun.
grasshopper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had a
totally.
similar example for when I went fully in on my business as well. I may have talked about this last time, I can't remember. And it is a story I share quite often. But again, I went in, and it's things like that where it's like, actually, so for me, animals or insects are probably your level two. It's like it's something that still has its own free will, but can be more easily manipulated than something that is a
Yeah.
real big tangible thing, which would be your level three. But when well, I've shared this story many times. I got fired twice within 6 months of two jobs that I'd had for many, many years. And I was like, okay, I think this means that I'm supposed to go all in
Time.
on my
It's time.
business.
That's
But of
right.
course, you have the fear, right? So you have that second guessing, that doubt, that thing that comes in. It's really natural. And even as someone who was already working with spirit, was already doing readings, was seeing spirit, hearing spirit, like I was all in already. But yeah, I was like, yeah, but I've always had a job. Like, where am I going to get money from? And I asked for a category three. I was like, this is not and we're not doing white feathers. We're not doing like 222 that you can go in. So it was February, and I asked for a fully dressed Christmas tree. And you're like,
Yes,
well,
I
where are
love
you
this
going to
story.
see a fully dressed Christmas tree in February? But literally, and then it's like the stages for me of where spirit can kind of like joke with you. And again, this for me kind of really shows you the levels, right? So if you say that that night I'm reading a book, and in that book they're talking about someone putting decorations on a Christmas tree, that's probably level one.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, that's not, I want to see it. I'm reading it. Cool. I want to see it. Later that night, I'm watching a YouTube video, and in the back of the YouTube video, because it was from December, there was a fully dressed Christmas tree. And I'm like, okay, well, that's probably a level two. I need a three. I need to see this Christmas tree. And it was that next morning that I went out. It was very early in the morning, 5 a.m. I was taking the dog out for a walk, and I accidentally missed my turning. And I ended up going down a road that I'd never gone down before at all. And no one is out there. The roads are dead. It's pitch black outside, and I just see flashing lights in a window. And I pull up outside this house, and there is a Christmas tree with flashing lights in the window in the middle of February. And I'm like,
Love
okay,
it.
thank
I
you very much.
There it is.
Yeah.
I literally just had a client text me like 2 or 3 days ago, and she was wanting some advice from her guides on some business advice. And she goes, I want to see a fully lit Christmas tree. I think she must have listened to our first episodes when we did this. And she goes, I do not want to see it in the store because I know there are Christmas decorations that are for sale, and I want to see it in a totally weird way. Do not show it to me like in a store. I want to see it like weird. And she opens up her Instagram feed, and the very first post at the top of her feed is this lady decorating a full on lighting up and decorating a Christmas tree. And she's like, in September? That's kind of weird. Like, okay, I will take it. And so she was like, I got my sign. So I loved that. So that just another play on more Christmas trees. Okay,
100%. They're a
so
good one to
explain
do.
a level one. Explain a level one, level two, level three, just so that people understand like what the categories mean. So give me the broad
Yeah.
sweep of what
So,
that means.
I mean, granted, this is something that I kind of use to really explain to clients how to pull in signs and kind of when to pull in signs. So something really big, you're probably going to want a level 3 purely because you want that validation. But a level 1 sign is something that you might see regularly already. So your repeating numbers, your feathers, your pennies on the floor, those kind of things. Those are things that are very traditional, have a very like traditional energy base to them. So they're super easy for our guides to manipulate and put in our path.
Right.
Right. So it's level
Right.
1 is essentially, it's not even it's level 1 for us. It's level 1 for them. They're like, yeah, easy, done. There you go.
Yeah.
Just open the
Things they
door.
can
There it
easily
is.
manipulate.
100%. And then for me, like level 2 is much more kind of, I give 2 examples of this. I'm like, when you see animals that are repeating, so I have hawks that repeat, I have deer that repeat, I now have owls that are outside my window that have been doing their twitwitering at night, which is delightful. Animals has always been my thing, but obviously my roots are in animal communication and animal healing. So of course I'm the animal queen. But they are kind of, again, like they've got free will. So they can actually, be really stubborn. So if you take a cat, for example, if spirit go, you need to go and walk over there, they might say no. So it's kind of a little bit more difficult. It's not hard because they are way more connected, way more sensitive, way more into energy than we are. They're not so much in their subconscious and lost in a spiral of thought all day long like we are. Although I also give the example of when your phone rings and you already know who it is, or you were talking about someone and then their phone rings, they ring you, that kind
Yes.
of thing. I would put that in a level 2 sign as well,
Yes.
of like, oh, I was thinking about you today, because that's like 2 energies combining. It's that same kind of frequency of like, that's easier to do, but it's not 100% easy to do, because again, if your friend is lost in the spiral of overthinking, they might not hear, sense, feel when you're thinking about them, and vice versa. But then your level 3 is much more like specific. You're asking for something very specific for a very specific thing. I need to know this, so you have to show me that. So it's very much like an on-demand thing, but it's one that can take longer to come in, and it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Now, sometimes it does, right? So for me, yes, the Christmas
Right.
tree was there overnight. However, like they obviously got in the way with me and were like, you missed your turning. You're going to go down that next road. Because if I'd have just done the same thing I did every day, that wouldn't have happened, and it might have taken longer. But those are
Sure.
kind of things that, yeah, I put up higher of like, oh, we've got to go and work for this. Like, is essentially what your spirit guides are saying when you come in with like a level 3. They're like, this is serious. We're going to go to work now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me something very
Yeah.
specific. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
love
I this
those.
just happened to me like two literally like 2 days ago. I was thinking about this friend of mine who we used to work together. She is like a deeply religious person, and of course I am very spiritual, but I'm also religious too. I've got a bit of both, and I have been contemplating this concept a lot around spirituality and religion, and I'm actually going to do a solo episode about it, so stay tuned, listeners. We're going to do that in a little bit. But I thought about her and I was like, I haven't talked to her in a long time, and what I do is a bit jarring for her, but we have managed to stay friends despite the fact that what I do, it challenges her beliefs a bit. And I thought, you know what, I really should go get a cup of coffee with her. It's been a long time since we talked. And I thought about it and I thought, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do that the next day. And then I didn't. However, I went to Costco, and sure enough, who's standing at the front of the freaking store is my friend who I hadn't seen, and I haven't talked to her in probably like a year. And she was just on my heart. And I thought I really should talk to her. So we just stood in Costco and talked for like a half an hour. And she doesn't let her children have any screen time. And so her kids were like, we were right next to the tech table with all the iPads and computers and stuff. And they were like, holy shit, I get to do this. And mom will let me do whatever I want. She's like, they'll never leave that dang table. They're so happy we can talk as long as you want. But I thought it was they do that, right? When you think about somebody and then they're there. And then
Yeah.
level 3 when you need it, right?
100%. I mean, and level 3 can be really fun as well. Of like, sometimes you don't have to need it,
Yeah.
but you're just like, give me something really fun. Like, I just want something, like I don't know, like combining things together. I want a feather that falls out of a hawk when it flies by, and that hawk's wearing a hat. Like, whatever you want to ask for, ask for. Like, just make it really fun. And that's the thing that I really love about signs, and especially like using signs in your business. It just makes your business so much lighter. Like, it doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't have to be hard. Like, you can just tap in and be like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for the sign. I'll carry on with that. It's like, it's my go-to to keep my energy as high as possible. Like, because it's just,
Yeah, make it fun.
little magic. Yeah, like it just, I think for me this year, I'm realizing like how much easier business can be when you just lean into the fun of it. Like it is fun. It can be fun. Like I get it that it's hard work and you've got to do this, that, and the other, but it's like, well, even hard work can be fun. Like just make it fun. And guide
Totally.
signs can totally do that. Like,
This is such a theme that I'm getting everywhere under the sun. The episode that's coming out next week is about a play specialist and energetics and play specialist.
oh,
I have up on my wall, let it be easy. How simple, exciting, and fun can I make this? Like, I think that right now, in particular, the world is going through so much in terms of politically, environmentally, energetically. And I think it's calling on people like you and I to lead by example and to ensure that we find joy and fun even when things are hard, because
yeah,
you can sit in the muck and the mire and the hard, or you can find a way to bring a little more joy into the thing you're learning.
100%. Joy, fun, lightness, laughter, all of it. I'm here for all of it. I mean, one of my key principles is keep it light. And like, obviously, yes, that means in
Yeah.
terms of light spiritually, but it's just like, keep it light and simple. Like everything is just, we make it complicated. Like, yeah, it's like I need to get it tattooed on my forehead. Keep it simple, keep it light, keep it real. Let's go.
Keep it good. Okay, so before we move on to energy, I have one more question about signs. So we oftentimes people are like, I asked for a sign and I didn't get it. And then I'll ask my client, well, what did you ask? What question did you ask? So will you talk a little bit about how people can prepare for a sign? Because they might be asking, is this the right thing to do? And then they don't get the sign because it's not for their highest and best good, or it's not the most aligned action, or whatever it might be. So sometimes I think it's not that your guides aren't listening to you, it's that maybe you're not asking the right question. And I would love your
Yeah.
hot take on that.
100%. For me, there's actually a couple of things here. So, firstly, I'll say this: a lot of the time, we want to have a direct, straight answer of like, this is the best thing to do. But a lot of the time, there are multiple options of things that we can do, and they're all our best good. We're still going to get to the same place, we're still going to get to the same destination. So, they're up there like, it doesn't matter. Right. But we're going, I need to know. I need to know if I go here or go here. Should I wear this dress or this dress? And they're like, it really doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. Like, please just do something, is basically how they see it. But I find a lot of clients, again, say where you're saying, like, what question did you ask? Like, a lot of the time people are like, can I have a sign? And you're like, well, if you haven't told them what sign you want, then how do you know you haven't missed the sign? Like, you have to be specific. If you want a specific answer, if you want to say, like, I just want to know I'm supported, or, then sure, you're probably going to get your feathers,
Right.
your 111s, like stuff like that. Your level ones are going to come in. But if you really need to know something, you have to ask. And I really like giving options to them of like, if it's a yes, can you
Oh,
show
so
me
good.
this? And if it's a no, can you show me that? Because I need to know. Because otherwise, you get. And I will say this: I have had a client before who they asked a question and they were like, I want to see like a red balloon for yes and a green balloon for no, and they got a picture that had both. And they were like, what do I do now? And I'm like, it means it doesn't matter. So there is always that like bit in between. And my
Oh,
clients
yeah.
have got like, they've got a hell of a sense of humor as well. Like, it's very rare that I've come across someone's spirit team who is like really not funny and just like, they are just mocking us a
Yes,
little bit of like, here you go, have all of the
totally.
signs. Like, so yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it's
Okay. Are
very
you
much
ready
that
for a
sense
funny
of,
story?
yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I had this client who was trying to decide between three business opportunities, and she said, "Show me and she asked for very specific things. So she's paying attention. She's listened to our episodes, and she's like, "I want a purple car if it's this, a red and not purple, a purple Volkswagen Beetle." And I want a blue Volkswagen Beetle if it's this answer. And I want a red Volkswagen Beetle if it's this answer. And she goes, and I normally don't see them. And then the next day I saw Volkswagen Beetles. Like I saw them, I don't know how many times, like 5, 6 times in every color except blue, purple, or red. And she goes, what in the hell does that mean? And I was doing a reading for her and I had said, look, they're telling me yellow light. Just wait and hold. You're not supposed to do any of them yet. It's not aligned for you yet. So they're giving you signs to say we're listening and we're paying attention, but you're just not supposed to take action on any of those choices yet. And then the next day she messaged me and she's like, are you ready for this? Guess what I saw? a yellow Volkswagen, but a Beetle. So she's got a yellow Beetle. Like, wait, hold on. I was like, well, they're funny. Aren't they funny?
100%. It's so funny
Yeah.
you say that though. Today I saw a pink one and I saw a yellow one. This
Oh,
just today. And I remember
oh,
thinking, I was like, oh, that's got to be for someone else. Because that's the other thing is that, like, I love knowing what other people's signs are because then I will see them. Like, because again, I think because I'm so kind of in tune, like you get this as well of like, oh, I think this is for you. Like, some of the stuff that we see isn't for us, it's for other people. And that's so much fun as well of like, oh my God, I've just seen this. That's got to be yours. Like, yeah.
and you and I get them for each other all the time because we talk to each other all the time. And so, like, I'll be like, oh, that's why that happened today. It's for you.
Yeah.
And you get mine
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
love Okay.
We double down.
So let's talk a little bit about energy. Can you explain when you say what like your energy and then your business's energy? That's like when you said your business has its own energy, I was like mind blown. I mean, it makes so much sense to me, but I don't know why I didn't think about it that way. I want us to dig into that.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, it's a concept, again, something that my spirit team said to me. They're just like, yeah, but your business isn't you, right? Like, now, don't get me wrong, our business energy is very much fed by our energy. So if our energy is off, our business energy will be off, and vice versa. It is 100% fed by us, but there are things that we block out that we, in our subconscious. So for example, if you've got money blocks or some subconscious, like capping, for example, is something that I see a lot with my clients of like, I can't get past this threshold, I can't get past this number. That's going to have an effect on their business without, and they might not even know that they can't get past that number, if that makes sense, that it's an energetic block. But really and truly, if you think about your business as a machine, like it has to operate, and we really want to get to a point where the business can operate majoritively like without us. Now, I know for us, obviously, and those who are spiritual workers as such, we are so in our business, but there is an element that it's like, okay, well, there needs to be some bits that are hands off, and that if life happens and we need a week off, 2 weeks off, a month off, 6 months off, that there is stuff that's still going on without you. And I think that's the bit that people miss. It's like they've built this thing up where it's just like that they're working 24/7 and it's all them. And it's like, well, yeah, but your business could survive, maybe not to the same level, the same frequency, but it needs your attention in ways that you might not necessarily be aware of, and it will be affected. So I love talking about the moon, right? I talk about the moon all the time, and each moon cycle has a different energy. So right now, as we're recording, we're coming up to the Libra new moon. Every time I try and say one word, it's like full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon. I'm like, pick one, pick one, pick one. And for me, like because it's an air sign, it really affects the communication in your business. Now, yes, that's your communication, but you might have someone that's doing your social media. So if it's like, that's also linked to your business energy, right? Like it's just all of these, like, it's like a spider's web outwards of this energy and how it gets triggered by certain aspects. It's like, if you're getting triggered by something, your business is getting triggered by something. But at the same time, you can cut your energy off from your business and it's still doing its own thing. And it's kind of magic when people realize that, or they look at it instead of going, I'm really bad at messaging, or it's like, actually take some of you out of it. Like, what does your business actually need? What do in terms of profit and loss, what does your business
Mm-hmm.
need? That's very different from what you need. Two separate things. Like, your business can be sustainable, but you might not be able to cover the bills. Like, there's two different things. So it's really just viewing the energy differently, but knowing how intricately it's all weaves together, as with all energy, right? Like, we are all one.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say put your energy first. What
Yeah.
does that mean to you?
So essentially, I think some people think that's like quite a simple practice of like, oh yeah, well, I'm in a good mood this morning, or I did my workout, so therefore my endorphins are high and things like that. For me, it's connecting in and truly being aligned, because aligned is a real buzzword, especially in the online coaching space of like, is everything aligned? Everything has to be aligned. And what they're really talking about is like, your website is aligned, like the sales page is aligned with the messaging before it, like the Facebook is aligned with this, with this, with this. And it all goes, that's all they're seeing. But that is only sustainable in your business if your energy is aligned with your purpose. right? So that won't be
Yeah.
sustainable. Like long term, it won't be sustainable. So it's actually putting energy first for me is actually the energy of your soul, right? So it goes deeper. It's not just how you feel today of like, oh, I'm vibing, I'm yeah, I'm in a good mood, high vibrations. You know, it's actually your soul. Like your soul has an imprint. It came here for a purpose, and if we've stepped into that purpose, then essentially you're into an energy imprint that is like bigger than you. Like, and that's what you're putting first, and it flows through you. So that's why your energy does matter, and that's why I love like approaching things in a space of, okay, asking for signs, making it light, calling in your guides, like doing energy healing, clearing your energy out so that you can make properly clear, aligned decisions first before you start going, oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to do all the things and make everything in my business aligned. It's like, it's not aligned if you're not properly aligned first. It's a soul molecular level thing. It's much deeper.
And I think people often think, okay, I'm going to put my energy first. That means that I'm always in a high vibe space. And I don't think that's true.
No. Well,
You know,
one,
but
if you're
it's
always in a
it's
high vibe, you're
managed.
doing wrong. Yeah.
Or you probably don't need to be here. You probably can just go back to your soul. Like
You're
you've got
so
your lessons.
enlightened.
You're
But do you know what, though?
That's
If you
right.
look at the people who are like highly enlightened, they're not like their vibration isn't high vibe. Their vibration is just. Does that make sense? Like they just are when they're actually that ascended. But the people who are like, I'm so vibrationally high, I'm just in such a great space, and you're like, that's really fake. Look, it's not real. There is darkness on the other side. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
I
so
think people
much more than
mistake
that.
high vi I think people mistake high vibrations for like joyous, energetic positivity.
Yeah.
And those are
Yeah.
not the same thing.
No, 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 not at all, not at all. And it's kind of like, so even recently, I mean, you've been there through, like, with me through this, of like, I realized all of a sudden I was like, I can't keep pushing in my business. And it's a space where, like, my vibration was really low because I was pushing, but it didn't mean that my purpose still wasn't aligned. It didn't mean that I wasn't trying to, like,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there was a period of time where I wasn't checking in with my guides because I was angry with them, but I have forgiven them. But once I did connect back in, and then it's like, okay, back to what I know, back to what works, like back to connecting, back to getting those signs, back to getting those messages to like really realign me with where the misalignment had come. Because I could have carried on pushing, I could have carried on selling this, that, and the other every other day. But if it didn't feel right, what's the point? Like there isn't any point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely, it's really important. It's like, and it covers so many things. So like put your energy first. Like what I think people don't realize in business is how much actually comes from like your auric field and your chakras. Like I say this all the time, like the three main ones for your business are literally your solar plexus, your big shining light, your heart, because you're in alignment with your purpose, and your throat, because that's where it all comes out. Doesn't matter how you're selling in some way, shape, or form, and you're using that voice, and it comes from that stomach area all the way up and out. And if those aren't working, if
Mhm.
those aren't open, if those aren't like aligned, and you don't feel confident enough or safe enough to have those open, because that's, I think, a big misconception. Like people are like, oh, I just don't have the confidence. You don't have the safety to be big and bright. That's what it is. It's not that you're not confident. Like
Right.
I used to be so introvert and like not want to speak, but as soon as I opened up these chakras, like here I am, see what I've got to say. I'm here. I'm still introvert that I need time in, but I'm like, I know how to like open and close my chakras now of like, hi, you can see me. This is my authentic self. And now I'm closed and I'm relaxed and I'm safe. But I think a lot of people, they don't realize that that's where the fear is. They think it's linked to other things. But it's just some misalignment in those chakras and that area. And that's what you need first. If you're not open like that, your messaging is off, your energy is off, your offers are off, you can't sell, people don't want to be in your space, they don't come back. So it's like anything where people are like, oh, this isn't working in my business, I'm like, we can go back to those chakras. Like as soon as you start with those, the world just changes in your business, like completely.
Yeah. I totally agree with this. And you were my go-to call. But I'm through it now, thank goodness. But for about 3 or 4 weeks, I was really going through something energetically, and I felt like I was leveling up, but also healing some deep wounds. And my guides just kept telling me, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down, process, heal, like go inward, spend time with us. And my human head said, go crawl into bed and watch Netflix. And my more deeper self said, go outside and ground and find your way through this thing. And if you were following my Instagram in September, like, holy Lord, I spent hours and hours and hours out in the woods south of my house, like just outside of town on these nature trails. And I mean, some days I would spend 2 or 3 hours out there trying to just ground and connect and figure out what it is that I was missing or what I needed to heal. And I came out of it feeling like more vibrant, more alive, more full of life, more ready to keep going and pursuing this
Mm-hmm.
soul purpose of, helping people connect with their guides and loved ones. And I'm so grateful for you. I just want to take a moment and say that, Julie. I'm so thankful for you. I'm so happy to have you in my life and to have another person to talk about when we go through some of that stuff. And I'm hoping this podcast will be that for people too. Like, if you're
Yeah.
going through hard stuff, you're not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Even Julie and I, who really are into all of this shit, like, go through some stuff too. And we need help
Yeah.
working through things too.
100%. Yeah. And I return that energy. Like, it's our relationship was just it. I mean, it's not even been that long, but you can act like we've known each other forever, right? Like, I mean, we could go into the whole
Yes.
past lives and blah 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 blah, but we won't today. That's for another podcast. But I kind of,
Season 3, friends. Season 3.
I'll be back. But honestly, it is like, it's really funny because even though, again, like you say, even though we do this stuff, like, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And it's like those who really do know people who are within the spiritual world, and those who are listening are very much going to be in that spiritual world. If you're interested, if you're even just a little bit curious, you are here with a purpose and a mission, and it can, you just haven't found it yet, maybe, or you're all the way in it. But I just see so many of us who it's as if we're kind of like challenged with more because we've had lives before, or we've ascended, whatever you want to call it, all the buzzwords, ascension, like leveled up, all of the things, right? We've done all of the things. And it doesn't mean that it's straightforward for us. It doesn't mean that our guides are like, here's all the answers. If it was as simple as like, here's the lotto numbers, here you go, your life is beautiful now, we would all be doing that. But it's not that. Like, we're here for different things, and we're here to explore different things and learn different things. And it's like, even, like I said, I've
Mm-hmm.
been working with spirit for a long, long time, but there's still stuff where I'm suddenly like, oh, that's what I'm good at. Like, I'm realizing more and more about myself. Like, recently I've kind of said, like, I'm very good at seeing the unseen. And people are like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, but I can kind of see everything. I can see spirit, I can see energy and how it works, I can see timelines, but then in more normal day to day, I can see different perspectives. I'm forever shifting perspectives for people of like, well, could it be this? What about this? How about this? Things that are just behind the veil. And even where I said to my integrator client today, because she was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for you. Like, I love seeing how your brain works. And I was just like, yeah, it's just even behind the scenes in businesses. Like, I'm just seeing the things that people aren't seeing in everything I do. And I'm like, it's taken me 39 years to realize that's my special skill. Like, yes, I can talk to spirit, but my special
Mm-hmm.
skill is seeing the unseen. And I'm like, wow, amazing. Like, if
Yeah,
that,
I'm
it's
pretty
like,
damn cool.
like, oh, if I'd have known that in my 20s, like, that probably would have made things a lot easier. But of course, I wasn't supposed to know it in my 20s. Like, I'm supposed to know it
Yeah.
now to go on to the next level. And it's just like kind of like that nugget that they give you after you've had kind of like those up levelings, like we've had this last year. So yeah, we all go through the
Right.
shit and we all come out the other side. So it's all good.
Even Julie and I go through
Yeah.
our muck and mire. Okay, I want to talk about one other thing before we go into our last little segment. But you and I have been talking about timelines a lot, and like
Mhm.
speeding up timelines, and like fast forwarding up to see or talk to your future self. Like, what the heck does that mean? Because there are there's tons of content on Instagram and other places right now too around timelines.
Mhm.
And will you break it down for people so they know what the heck that is when people are talking about that?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's one of those things that it's like the different ways. Sometimes someone can say it a different way, and you go, "Ah, I get it now." Essentially, I kind of see it that there are so many possibilities for our energy at any time. Like we are in multiple, I guess you can call it dimensions, like whatever. Again, it's like buzzwords, really. Like all it is that there is infinite possibilities and we should be open to infinite possibilities. So for every example where you're like, oh, I wish that
Mhm.
didn't happen, there is an example where it did happen. Like it's, or it did, it's like whatever, there is the opposite, right? So you've got the lure of duality. So there is always going to be an opposite. When one thing happens, there is an opposite. And for me, when we've been talking about timeline jumping, we're kind of just tapping into a higher version of ourselves of like, wow, okay, this person's done the thing. Like they've called in their ideal clients, they've said the thing that they really wanted to say, they've, brought in X amount of money, have this many days off a year, like whatever it is that they want, we tap into that energy and just sit with it for a second and be like, whoa, this is nice. I want to be here. This is great. And then realizing you're already there. Because you're in it. And I know that that's like so like out there of like, yeah, but what do you mean you're in it? Like, but you are. Like, it is everything all at once, all at the same time. Like, it goes back to like the concepts of like the Big Bang, right? And I don't know if the Big Bang's been disproved now or not, but either way, who cares? I like the story of the Big Bang. Everything coming from like one moment and then it just expands. And it's like, but that one moment still exists in time, right? So it's like actually we're all still back at that infinite original space, and we can tap into that at any time to just be like, what is the best thing here? What is really good? What's really juicy? What's really yummy? What's really fun? What's really exciting? And it's like pulling back those frequencies. And you and I obviously both did an exercise within one of the masterminds that we were in, and the thing that was different for me within that was honing in. So I've always done it where I'm like, oh, I see my future self and she's doing this, that, and the other. She's wearing this and she's dressed like that, doing this. She's talking to these people, hanging out with these people. Look at her go. And you kind of tap into that. But the one thing that he'd said was essentially like there's a moment where you feel it. Like, and for me, that moment when I visualize things, it's always with my dog because she is my life. Like, she is what led me to be where I am right now. And when I tap into that moment where I tell her, we did it, that's the energy. I'm like, whoa, I'm there. Like, and so when people say you need to feel it, like that was the shifting moment, I think, recently for me in it of like, yeah, I can tap into timelines, but now I can tap in way easier because I just go, we did it. Like, and I'm there. And I'm like, what did we do? And then you kind of move the energy backwards and be like, okay, this is what I did. I did this and I felt like this and I explored this energy and just lived into it, knowing that you're already that it already is. It's
Yes,
it's like
I
so
know.
often
And it
saying,
is kind of a wild, it is hard to explain, but you can feel it. For me, what happened was I was able to get to a place where I loved all that was already and all that will be. Um,
yeah,
and what I mean by that is like I got to a place where I was so at peace with the way my life is today, my husband, my daughter, whether I make a penny or $1 million or anywhere in between. I was so like settled into the peacefulness and the surrender of it. And that was my big lesson over the last 2 months was surrender and release the outcome. So when we're chasing an outcome, a goal, an outcome, a specific thing we want to have happen that has to happen because we said so, because our ego is making it so, when we get into that chasing phase, that's our ego, like wanting specific things. And I was like releasing the outcome of what this would be and really surrendered to the service of what I'm doing. And
yeah,
it was such a big thing for me because it's one thing to say it, but like you said, it's really hard to explain when you feel it in your bones, when you're like,
mm-hmm,
oh, this
yeah.
is what surrender and peace feels like. This is it. And I
For
hope I
me,
feel
it's
like
like,
this the rest of my life.
right? Like for me, it's such an expansive energy. And like, again, coming back to science, like this year, it's that same thing of like, you don't have to push, you already are. Like, you don't have to hustle. You already
Yes.
are. Like, I've hustled my entire life. From the day I got a job at 15, I have had 2 jobs my entire life until I got fired. And then I had multiple clients and multiple different ways to make money in my business, and was doing this and helping here and doing stuff there. It was always the doing. It was always the masculine energy. And my personality leads with the masculine energy. But this year, Spirit were like, how about the feminine? Do you want to tap into that a little bit? We're going to make you sit down. We're going to make you just do nothing. We're going to switch off the on for you so that you sit down. And then it was a case of, I actually like looked at my astrology, and I won't go too deeply because it's astrology and we can get lost in a rabbit hole. But essentially, there's 2 placements in your chart that are key for your growth and development in your life, and those are your south and north nodes. Your south node represents the energy that you came here with, that you are, that you can deal with like nothing else. And the north node is more difficult for you, but that is where you are going. It's your north star. It's where you need to learn. Now, my south node is Scorpio, which means I can burn everything down. I can do all of the things. I'm good with transformation. I don't care. You tell me that this website, that, my back end website isn't working, I'll rip it out and put it on another one. I don't care, because I'm good with that space. But my north is Taurus, which is a very much like sit still, expand outwards, right? Rather than forwards all the time, expand outwards and just be. And it literally after having a break from pushing and selling, like purposely selling this year, and listening to them. And then I actually had a new guide that came in, which for those who are interested is Hathor, who is an ancient Egyptian goddess. And believe it or not, even though the person who told me that the guide was coming in, I knew there was someone, but she told me in a reading she doesn't know anything about my placement and that it's in Taurus, and Hathor represents Taurus. So I'm like, okay, she's here to help me be feminine and in that abundance and expansion. And I'm here for it. I am so here for that energy, because that's what's made me feel like I can tap into those future timelines, because I'm still be, right? I don't have to push to get to that timeline. I'm already here. I just expand out into it. And I'm like, I like having a big expanded like aura. Like, it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it is indeed. And not that we'll go deep into this, but you and I have been talking about this like Egypt and signs of Egypt and Egyptian signs for you for like you've been getting them for several
Oh,
years, not knowing exactly what they meant until now. And
yeah,
isn't that wild that you can get a sign for a year or two and be like, what do you mean by this? I keep seeing this and I don't know what it means and I don't know what it means. And then
100%.
eventually, boom, you know what it means.
100%. And it was like, for me, it was like they were giving me breadcrumbs. So I would see, so it did start really ramping up like 2 years ago. And I was like doing a meditation, and they were showing me like the eye of Horus. And that's when I was like, oh, it's because I'm supposed to work with people who are fire, masculine, and which I still am. Those are still my people, those who want to do all the things. But the truth is that now I'm supposed to help them embody the feminine in the same way that I can embody the feminine. So, but yeah, so that was like a breadcrumb of like, oh, one, that popped up in a meditation, and then it would pop up somewhere else. And then multiple clients would come to me and talk about how they've had lives in ancient Egypt. And I'm like, me too. Why is this coming up a lot? Like, it just, and I even asked you in a reading when I was sort of in that limbo land. I was like, there's something with Egypt.
Yes.
What's going on? And you're just like, they're not giving me anything. And I'm like, I know I'm not supposed to know yet. I had to get to the breaking point to then know, oh, it's because of like, that's where it fits. Because you could have told me like Hathor's coming in and this is happening and da da da, but I wouldn't have heard it at that time. I wouldn't have, because I was still in the like, I think I've got to do more. I think I've got to do more. But as soon
Yeah.
as I was
I was
like,
still
I don't
pushing.
have to
Yeah.
do, I can just be. And then she was like, hello, I'm here. I'm here to help you.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Hello, hello.
it's so fun.
Don't you love when you get a reading and the answer is there's no answer? I'm not allowed to tell you. Or they'll do this. They'll do 2 hands over the eyes, meaning we're not going to tell you right now. Like they're not like that's their sign for me that we're not going to show you right now. And somebody will be like, oh, that's not fair. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. They're telling me they're not going to show you right now. You're not meant to know yet.
Well,
So,
like, I
yeah,
don't think people
I
realize how often it happens. Like for me, it's probably like, because I get it again. I think I might have said this on the last podcast, but like they show me an image of like a river, and we want to get across the river, but it's foggy and there are stones in the river. So that's them saying like, just take a step and then you'll see what's next. Like, we can't tell you what's on the other side of the river. That's all the things that they want. They're
Yeah.
like, well, should I go here? Should I do this? Can I go that? And it's like, just take the first step, because it's foggy right now and we can't see what's over there. So
Right.
that's how we're moving.
Yeah. I do. I get that sign too, but it's not across a river. It's a path, and you can only see part of the path. And it often looks like San Francisco, like a walking path by the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's
Okay.
like foggy. So like there is a bridge there, you just don't know because it's so
Yeah.
foggy. That's what I get. But kind of a similar sign.
Yeah.
But that's because
Yeah.
we each have our own little language with our guides.
This is
So
it. That's
okay, I
so
want to
good.
talk about this.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know, I know. Okay, so I have two things I want to talk about. You're doing a couple really cool things right now, and I want to make sure we have time for you to tell people about it. So you have this really cool 3-part series that you're doing that's free. Go grab it, my
Yes.
friends. You're not going to want to miss this. And it's a co-create 3-part series that you're doing. By the time this episode airs, one of them will have already been in motion, but you can get the replay. So can you tell us a little bit about what that co-create 3-part training is?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, I mean, everything I do is co-creating with spirit, right? So for me, it's helping others be able to co-create with spirit, because so many clients come to me and they're just not quite sure if it's the right thing, if that's where they should go. Well, success, like, will this happen? Will this work for me? Will this, that, and the other? And so in the same way that we talk about signs, like day one, that, as you say, will have just gone, but you can catch the replay, is all about calling in signs and getting really specific with signs. But what's actually really fun is that there's a collective in the Facebook group. And again, where we've mentioned earlier that other people's signs come through for other people, last time I did this, so many people were like, oh my God, I've just seen this. I know someone mentioned it. Whose is this? It was like lost property. Like, it was just like, whose sign is this? I don't know why this is happening, but it's happening to me. So someone take it, please. It was so much fun. So definitely come, even if you just came for that, it's hilarious. But for me, it's more than just calling in signs. It's actually connecting in with your business guides, because yes, as we discussed, your business has its own energy. So of course it has its own guide that goes along with that as well. And you'll be surprised how your guides come out. Like last time we did this, there was like anything from someone had one that looked like a bit like Roger Rabbit, and then someone had one that was literally just like a rainbow haze in that like appeared in like mirrors and glass. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's just so different to what you think it's going to be, and it's so fun. But just getting those connections, and we're also going to meet your business animal totem as well. So it's just like an energy that you can work with your business, which again, I love animals. It's so much fun. So that's day 2. So, I mean, all of this in just 2 days. And then the third day, I'm going further into like really putting that energy first and kind of opening up the chakras, like I mentioned. I'm actually going to be doing a mini healing, which I've not done for free before. So this is a little sneaky peeky, like open doors of what an actual healing session can look like and feel like for you, to really open those chakras up and really connect in with the energy before you kind of make those decisions. And it's really just to get clarity, get confidence, and like essentially just know what the hell that you're doing, just feel connected. That's like nice 3 C's there.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. Love it.
Connection,
I
clarity,
also think
and movement.
people get this misconception that like healing can only be done if you're in person with somebody versus, understanding that we can manipulate energy anywhere. Our guides are everywhere all at once. Like, they're not only in your physical presence, they can be in the presence anywhere. And it's a
Mhm.
hard concept to understand, but just if you are like, that's not possible, just go do day 3 of Julie's training and then you'll know.
Yeah,
That's what I say.
100%. Like a nice little taster, but it's so true. People just have this idea of like, oh no, I need to have it in person. Um, it doesn't make any difference. It's the same as doing a reading. We don't have to be next to you. I can speak to your spirit guides. You can give me an email address and I can tell you all about yourself. Like, it's not about being in person. It's not about your physical body energy. It's about your like energetic body. So it's like I can tap in
Yeah,
and
your
do that
soul's
healing
energy.
remotely. Yeah. And it's like the way I do healing as well. So I'm trained Reiki master, but I'm also like able to do this. Always shocks people as well. I can do remote crystal healing. So I can manipulate the energy of the crystal that is with me to send it to you. And the amount of times that blows people's minds, because they're like, oh my God, it's like I could feel you put it on my chest, but you're not here. And I'm like, yes, because it's
Yes.
energy. Your guides are there and spirit are there, and like, we are one. Remember, we are one. It's like that spider web, right? So it's like, if you've hit the end of a spider web, the whole thing moves because it's all connected. So that's what it's like. I'm just twinging a little string in the auric energies out there, and you're feeling it. It's amazing. But you can send it through time as well. Like, people forget that. Like, there's some of us who have come here into this lifetime and we sent energy to ourselves from a past life. Like, that's how far it can go. It's not even just like, oh, I sent it to myself for the morning. Like, no, you can send it to your next life if you wanted to. Like, there's so many ways that you can
Yeah.
tap in and send things. It's
I never thought about
unbelievable.
sending it to a I never thought about sending it to a past life or a future life, but I teach this in my courses, and I know you talk about this too. But like, where you go back to a childhood wound, and you give that past version, young little girl of yourself, some love and nurture and kindness, and it's kind of the same thing,
100%.
that you're
Exactly
sending
that.
that
It's,
healing
yeah.
energy backwards.
Exactly. So it's like, I like to do it sometimes with like ancestral stuff, and just being like, sometimes you can send it backwards and heal like a grandmother line. Like, there's just something in there that is linked to you in a different way. Like, it goes
Yes.
into the subconscious, it gets hidden in the body. So it's like, yes, it can go really deep, but just even on a powerful level of like, okay, I just want to make my energy feel more aligned. I just want to feel more open. I just want to feel more safe. Like, all of those things can happen with a nice safe container where you feel supported. And I think that's the missing piece for a lot of people as well with remote healing, of like, they just don't necessarily feel safe. They don't know what to expect. They're just sort of waiting for something to happen. So it's like, no, we'll make the container safe and yummy and nourishing. And yeah, it's a fascinating thing, healing.
Yeah, which brings me to, you have this really cool offer that you're putting out in the world that I signed up for. So come do it with me, friends.
Yay.
It's called Shine. And part of the reason that I want to do this myself is because I want to be in community with like-minded people. And I really know that with the work that we do, I want to be in a container of energetic healing, of really figuring out and tuning in and having time to do that. Like, I have a laundry list as long as a mile long of things I need to do, but I don't need another thing on my to-do list. I need time with myself to heal and grow and expand. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that, because it spoke to my heart and I signed up for it. So I thought maybe you could just share a little bit about what Shine is, in case maybe it might
Yeah.
be interesting to some of my listeners.
Definitely. Well, like I said, I've been in the same space of like really, really yearning for that feminine space, and not in a way of like, okay, let's make this super flowery and like dance around in circles, but just in that stillness, just in those moments. And like I said, that expansion, like, it's the expansion for me, and that's what you need. It's the like, because the healing will allow your energy to expand. That expansion allows you to be more confident, to feel more connected, to feel more grounded and rooted, and just know what to do. It's that knowing. Like, there is a reason that they talk about women's intuition, right? Everybody has intuition, but there is a thing with women's intuition, and it comes from the feminine flow. It comes from that feminine connection. I mean, the group isn't designed to like activate your intuition or anything, but it will, because you will be so in that energy that you have no choice but to be more connected and get all of the answers. But for me, this group, I just wanted to do something completely different. And I still want it to be for business owners. And I still want there to be like, you can take action. So, like, essentially, the sessions are held. So it's over 6 weeks. And we kick off each week with a healing session. So yes, it's remote. Even if you can't come live, I can send it to a set time for you, and you can have that time, that moment, that just space to just sit and receive. And I think that's a massive thing that's missing, is that we're doing, doing, doing. We're helping, we're healing, we're connecting, we're doing all of this. When are you receiving? When are you taking that energy back in? When are you filling your cup? Now, one of the things that I've been noticing and seeing a lot, so obviously I do tarot readings, and I'm sure there are people here who do tarot readings as well. But there is one card, the Temperance card, and it is often depicted with a guardian angel, and she has two chalices, and she is flowing one cup to the other. And that is the imagery that I have for this container, of that it's not me that's filling your cup, it's spirit. So they will be channeled, they will be coming through, but I'm actually calling in special deities and goddesses specifically so that we can open up not only your energy and heal that energy and make it present so that you can just get rid of those kind of like blocks and things that are holding you back. So it's healing through those goddesses, connecting in with those goddesses. So then there's a process of actually doing like meditation, visualization, working with how you pick up signs. So again, people who are like, oh no, but I don't see anything. You don't have to see anything. You are going to feel, you are going to feel, you are going to know,
I
you
can
are going to
feel it right
trust,
now, honestly.
right? It's
It's
like,
like
as,
intense in my
as I'm
body.
as I'm talking, like Hathor is just like I can see her. She's just stood there, like so. She's like, I'm so proud. This is my container. It's hers. She just wants us to have this abundance. She wants us to have this flow of like back in the ancient Egyptian times. There wasn't this thing of like women being boxed in. There wasn't a thing of like. It was just we were so much more powerful, so much more powerful, and it's regaining that power in a really nice, stable space. But then still being able to take action. So I still want to have where you do all of that. That's putting that energy first. We're clearing ourselves, we're connecting, we're getting guidance, we're getting insight, and then we're creating action steps for that next week, but in line with a goddess. Like, how powerful. Like,
Yes.
the goddess is going to tell it. You could
Love it.
be like, okay, I'm going to do my messaging, but someone else might be just like, okay, I'm just going to heal every day. Like, everyone's going to come in with different things are going to come up. And I keep coming back to this word about abundance. And I know that abundance, again, another one of these buzzwords, but the truth is that we all want abundance of something. Now, quite often as business owners, we're like, I want money. I need more money. But the truth is, you don't just want more money. You want more time. You want more freedom. You want more clarity. You want more connection. And this is a space to actually kind of really see that in multiple ways of not just, I need to do X, Y, Z to get that, but just be in that abundance and like bring that into your life. I'm so excited for this container, honestly.
Yeah, me too. So this is not a course. You're not going to get a bunch of assignments. This
No,
is really a space where you can come and learn how to be intuitively who you're meant to be so that you can do what your
yeah.
soul is guiding you to do and have the life that you want. That's what I say anyway.
100%. Exactly that. And you're so right to remind me in that, like, it isn't a course. Like, I don't, this doesn't need to, I'm not going to teach you anything. We're not coaching. Literally, you come to the space, you receive healing, you are guided on a powerful meditation to connect in with goddesses, you get insights and informations, and you create your next steps in alignment with that. You can share in the group if you want to share in the group. If you don't want to share, you don't share. People are going to be at different stages, different connections. The answer is just connection and like trusting. And that's what this is going to all be about. But like you say, it's that space for you. Like, how often do we actually give ourselves that time and space? Like, the year is flying
Yeah.
by. We need to take time now to like make next year even better. And like, we're not going to do that if we're
Hmm.
pushing and just striving all the time. You need to come back to the feminine flow, and that means you have to sit down for a little bit.
Yeah. And while you were saying all of that, I a huge lesson has shown itself to me over the last, I would say 3 months around receiving. Because I
Mm,
love to give. I am such a giver. I love to help people. I love giving gifts. I just am a giver, but it's harder for me to receive sometimes.
mhm.
And so you were helping me through this, even like ways in which I was blocking the blessings of things that were coming my way. Because I would be like, oh, no, 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 you don't know. You don't have to pay for that. Or, oh, no, no, you don't have to know. Like, I don't like it when people buy me a coffee. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. I received
Yeah,
that. So kind of you. I love it.
yeah,
So I've been practicing this in all of the little ways of telling the universe, I am willing to receive. I am open to receive, and my heart is ready to receive. And so I've been saying this phrase all the time. Thank
I
you.
love
I
that.
receive that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
And you've
so
been helping me with
powerful.
that, Julie.
Yay! It is, honestly, it's actually unbelievable when we do just start to receive. It's the same, even if you go back to the signs where people go, oh, I don't know if that sign was for me. And I mean, I've had clients who are just like, yeah, I think I saw a sign, but I'm not sure. And I'll be like, well, what was it? And it'll, oh, a bird nearly hit me in the face. It's like, yeah, it was a sign. Like, just receive the sign. If you receive the sign, it sits with you and you can take action. When you receive,
Yes.
then you can act. When you take the feminine, like that's fine, and then you can have the masculine. We can't sit in the doing all the time. We have to receive first. So yeah,
Yes.
it's so important, and it's so missed in the space, like for business owners right now, especially those of us who are in the spiritual. It really rubs us that we want to receive, and we're really good at like doing it for ourselves. So we're like, oh, I'll just do a little meditation myself, I'll just do a little clearing and healing myself. And it's like, no, how about let someone else do it? Like, we are a tribe, we are a community. Come to a space where someone else will do it for you. Like, I go for healings, I go to other readers. Like, I'm not meant to do it all myself. In the same way, neither are you. So this is a space where you can come and just receive for a change, something different.
Yeah, I love this. And so if you can come in this container with us, you absolutely should. I'll put some links in the show notes to it. And if you're on my email list, I will also send some emails out about it so you can quickly get to Julie's offering. So just a little plug to pop on my email list so you can get that. But even if you decide not to do this thing with us, I really hope that one of the things that you take from my chat with Julie is trust the signs that you're getting and thank and receive the guidance. Thank the guidance from your universe, from the universe, from your guides, from your loved ones in spirit. Receive it, accept it, and receive it. That's my little takeaway from our time together.
Love that. Yeah.
So thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you, Julie. You are one of my dearest friends. I adore talking to you all the time. And every now and again, it's fun to put us on a hot mic and let other people listen in to the things that we talk about all the time. So thank you very much for coming on the pod.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's stopping. It's just processing, I think. I hope. We'll see.